Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with President Buhari of Nigeria. We have many things we do together, as you know, probably especially on terrorism and terrorism related. We also have a very big trade deal that we're working on for military equipment, helicopters, and the like. We have met before. We have developed a great relationship, and we look forward to who have been killed in Nigeria. We're going to be working on that problem, and working on that problem very, very hard, because we can't allow that to happen. Mr. President, thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Thank you for Mr. President.
Thank you. I thank Mr. President very much for inviting me. It's a great honor. I'm very grateful for it. Certainly security is the main issue. We are very grateful to the United States for agreeing to give us the aircraft we asked for, the spare parts. We are even more grateful for the physical presence of the United States military specialists that go into our institutions in Nigeria and train them and go to the front in the Northeast to see how they are performing as a result of the training given to them. So the commitment of the United States in get rid of terrorism across the world, we are first-hand experience of that, and we are very grateful for it. The problem about the cattle rearers and herders in Nigeria is a very long historical thing, but the states most concerned, they knew that the Nigerian herders never carried anything more than a stick and occasionally a machete to cut down foliage and give it to their animals. These ones are carrying AK-47. So I don't think people should underrate what happened in Libya. 43 years of Gaddafi, people were recruited from the Sahel. They were taught nothing other than to shoot and kill. With the demise of Gaddafi, they moved to their countries and to their regions, and they carried away with them the only experience they have in training, using weapons. And that's what is aggravating the situation. We are doing our best to make sure we have stopped the cross borders and so on, and to get the weapons, proliferation, small arms weapons in the region checked. But it's good to be done, and the action by the United States in trying to see the end of ISIS has helped us a lot, because the Boko Haram in Nigeria at one time made a statement that they were loyal to ISIS. Now that ISIS have virtually gone with the help of the United States, we are very grateful for that. And we are sure that we are stabilizing the situation of security in Nigeria.
We have very much decimated ISIS. Much has taken place over the last 12 months, but Boko Haram has been terrible. And how did you do with the young women that were kidnapped? How is that going?
The Chibok girls and
You're not ashamed.
106 that were kidnapped. We got 100 back. 4 died. 1 is still held in captivity. And we are very grateful to the United Nations organization that is acting as in between us and the kidnappers. And we haven't given up. We are trying to get everybody back to join their families and their schools.
A terrible problem.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Mr. President, do you want the summit at the DMZ? Do you want the summit at the DMZ, Mr. President? Do you want the summit at the DMZ, Mr. President?
Are you working on a deal on immigration?
Mr. President, do you want the summit?
Satellite news.
Mr. President, do you want the summit at the DMZ?
Let's go.
Thank you very much.
Make your way out.
Welcome to the live studios of Television Nigeria, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria. I am Matuli Momodu. With me is Cynthia, just to make your breakfast truly awesome. And we're very glad to know that you're here with us. It's May Day and lots of goodies to come your way.
All right, it's the first day in the month of May, and of course, it's really, really amazing. It's not easy for you to see the first day in the month of May. My name is Cynthia Agbo, and of course, it is the Workers' Day. So some of you might just be at home, relaxing, having your holiday. Of course, it's your day, so to have fun while you watch us this beautiful morning, the biggest stories happening in and around.
Yeah, we definitely want to ensure that your day is truly awesome. We know that it's Workers' Day, but we're also getting the job done here also, and we hope that out there you're getting the job done on the home front and anywhere you're involved in. I promise this to be very exciting. Like we said earlier, we'll be giving you the big stories making the rounds right here in Nigeria and definitely on the global scene. But we'll kickstart with our traditional concerns of the day.
All right, the concerns for the day, Buhari declares he isn't sure if the shithole comments were true or not, thus he will be silent on it.
All right, on your screen you can see already the meeting of Donald Trump and President Muhammadu Buhari in Washington and at the White House, where they discussed from the security issues, where Trump said he hoped the present administration would protect the lives of every Nigerian despite their faith, whether Christians or Muslims, referring to the killings of 2 Catholic priests and other Christians in the country. He also raised their concerns as well as other issues concerning Nigeria and did not leave the U.S. out of it, gave the U.S. immigration laws some knocks, saying they were obsolete and not good enough.
All right, so but first of all, the comment of him saying he was now aware of the shithole comments, is that him trying to be diplomatic because that comment was everywhere?
I think that's what a statesman should say. He wasn't there. It was a report that came out of the press, and you cannot hold that. And when you're having a very, let's remember that he's the first sub-Saharan African leader to be invited by Trump. It means a lot. It means how much he respects Nigeria and Nigeria's position when it comes to the African continent. And so it would be very childish of Mr. President to go talking about the shithole comment where they had more very salient issues to discuss. And I think for the first time I was impressed with the way Mr. President, give the replied answer. And also we did hear some other questions from Nigerian journalists there as regards other issues. And the President was also, as regards the 20 Tucano super fighter jets that were bought from the U.S., asking when is it going to be delivered. And Trump characteristically said very soon, because he knows the money had hit the account.
Of course.
So it made the conversation very interesting, but that tells you how sincere the discussions were.
Yes, in as much as they were sincere, but well, maybe it's just a thing with people who have the knowledge of history and of course international relations. Some will tell you that the U.S. do not invest where they don't profit, they don't gain. So in this case, well, I saw the pictures yesterday. I saw we're all smiled together, signing papers, and I was like, wow, good. Of course, it's a very. It just seems like Trump's smile was more than that of our President Muhammadu Buhari. And I was like, oh, this is definitely a good meeting. This is definitely a good. They had a very good deal. So definitely, so everybody's supposed to be happy. So we just definitely hope that very soon we'll get that.
All right, we'll be expecting a lot of goodies from the U.S. already. They also discussed on the sector of agriculture, where Trump said he needed Nigeria to open her borders to the American market so they can bring in some goods, agricultural goods. And I think for Nigeria, like the discussion with the fact that Nigeria is suffering from unemployment, and we're also trying to build our agriculture base. It means it won't be a bad deal for Nigeria and the U.S. to do more in terms of agriculture. So I think it's a very strong message passed by Trump, and also a very good position taken by Mr. President, not coming out straight to say, yes, we're going to allow more goods from the U.S. into Nigeria, but just keeping it at bay is, I think that was a very tactical move by President Buhari. I think he was up there amongst a very good performance in terms of the way he handled the questions and represented the African continent. I think we were truly proud of him.
Yes, in as much as we're truly proud of him, that he handled everything perfectly well to a large extent. But I would say that opening up our borders and accepting more goods from the U.S., this is a time where we're trying to make sure that we produce here in Nigeria and send out, and then we start opening our borders and start taking in again like it used to be before. What does that portend for us? Are we going back to how we used to be, or we are moving forward?
Like I told you, the president didn't say a yes to Trump's prayer saying we need you to open the borders. The president didn't say yes, we're going to open our borders. It means he's also being tactical. When he's silent, you cannot predict if he's saying a yes or a no. So I think that was a very good move by Mr. President. So in coming days, we'll get to see how this plays out. But the very good thing is the fact that the U.S. have agreed to support Nigeria in terms of military might and support to fight Boko Haram and also help quell the insurgency and insecurity in the country. I think it's very, very paramount for Nigeria to, for us to go forward. We have to, secure our borders, and I think that's just a good thing between Nigeria and the U.S. It shows that we still have that respect amongst the superpowers, so to say.
So what do you think might likely happen if, in the coming days, Mr. President comes back and they definitely sits through all of these meetings, all of the discussions they've had, and then he looks, okay, this might not definitely benefit Nigeria, this would benefit the US more, and like, okay, fine, I can't do some of these things. What do you think, will that affect the Nigeria-US relationship?
I think before the meeting at the White House, the agenda would have been shared by both countries, and remember that the president didn't go to the U.S. all by himself. He went with the Minister for Foreign Affairs and other key members of his cabinet who will be signing some other deals in other sectors of our national life. So whatever they would have gone to the U.S. is already pre-known and arranged. Even if they do come back to Nigeria and see that this agreements or these terms offered by the U.S. does not favor us. Remember, Trump is America first. So Buhari is Nigeria first. So, and technically, recall that the recent agreement that was signed by over 30 plus African countries as a trade, Nigeria wasn't part of it because we did not agree to it. We still see that there are some T's to be crossed and some I's to be dotted. So it tells you how, in as much as we have our own problems, Nigeria is always very strategic, always very mindful of things we go into. So I think this deal is awesome. For the first time, you see a Trump who is excited, like you rightly said, and who is also trying to answer the questions for the Nigerian president and saying Buhari knows where he's coming from. It tells you that he believes that he knows our president is realistic. He knows that, yes, that term called shithole or emerging countries is real, and he's not pretending about it. And Trump likes people who tend to agree with him to an extent, especially when it's reality staring you in the face.
Do you see? Well, I have several questions regarding the meeting.
Yeah, there's so many answers.
So
for
many
you.
questions.
And
Regarding
you hold on to your horses. We're going to be having our in-house analyst who will be coming to do a very fantastic job on it. Let's go to the next concern of the day.
All right. Of course, we know it's May Day, and of course, it's Workers' Day celebration. Nigerians truly celebrating.
Good question.
Yeah, even though we can't really say that. The Nigerian workers, are they really happy with the current situation of things?
I think let's start with the fact that their salaries don't come as of when due. The amount of money they're
Really low.
being paid, the current reality, it could not go more than a week or two. And the fact that a lot of unemployment going on, a lot of sack in several government agencies. And even for the private sector, they're not finding it easy paying bills, so they lay off a lot of staff. You have a staff doing multitasking, one staff doing a job of 3-4 persons. Gives you an idea how tough the situation is. And also, you hear people say, okay, they call me back and say, okay, will you take a pay cut? So we're having pay cuts in several sectors. The manufacturing sector that had some relief when the federal government gave them some subvention has not been consistent, and so it's not really easy. Then if you put the insecurity in the country into the whole picture, you have lots of people leaving their place of work because of insecurity and trying to move to other areas, rural areas, people moving. We're not having farmers, people in the rural area farm, and so there are no farm produce to be sold. And so a lot of issues are really plaguing the economy. So workers obviously are not smiling. Then just to crown it up, when you look at the NLC, the TUC, and the UCL having different price tags as for minimum wage, and 96,000, you have 6,500. Just tells you how disjointed everything is, and the fact that we're having multiple labor unions tells you that they're not satisfied with what this labor union is doing. And so it just gives you a very ugly picture of the sufferings Nigerian workers are going through.
So did you really think that the NLC is really doing a great job putting the Nigerian workers together, given all of this that you said?
I think we could say yes and a no. A yes, because okay, they're still pushing for the new minimum wage. A no, because it seems as though when it comes to May Day, we hear their voices, and at times it seems like once they parley with the federal government, suddenly they just go into the code, and you begin to suspect to say that they've been given a handshake, and so they're satisfied because they're giving them something, and they do not want to stand up and fight for the Nigerian worker again, and so it's all complicated.
Well, one thing I would have, like you said, you talked about cut in salary, and of course workers multitasking, and in most cases these workers don't have a choice because they want to earn something, and so even if you cut the salary, they are still there. Just very few actually leave and say, okay, I can't do this, I just can't really do it, because you have people at home waiting for you, you have bills to pay. Definitely. you have as a lady, you have to also look good, and so putting all of this together, you just tell yourself, okay, even the 19,500, you talk about the week, it doesn't even go some people more than 2 days, because by some people
pending bills.
Yes, before the salary comes, it's not like it's being paid at the right time. So before the salary comes, all the debts you've incurred, you just have to settle them, and you might even have more. It's okay. I know some family people who what they do is they take in advance when the salary comes, they balance, and then they also take again for the next salary to come. So imagine people living their life in such a way. How then do you have time to save? You can't be able to save. If you ask the average Nigerian worker, what is in your savings account, I don't even think they have a savings account.
Unless those that are criminally minded who make money from sideways, then you can say probably.
Yes,
but
they do have.
Just yesterday we had on the news, on TVN's flagship news, where the NUJ secretary, FCT chapter did come out to say there should be a state of emergency in the media industry because media owners owe salaries, and it makes these journalists go from one media house to the other trying to seek for better life, and at the end, at times do not get even the wages being owed them. And but the irony of it is she ends up saying, okay, journalists, be professional when you do your job, report it as it is. But it's very, very difficult when you want someone to perform optimum and you're owing him, and he goes to an assignment, there's a brown envelope, he has this decision to make whether to take the brown envelope or not. If he doesn't take it, his family is going to suffer. If he takes it, the story is going to be tilted to favor who is bringing the brown envelope. But at the other end, the owners of these media houses are not being realistic. They want you to get the job done. The vehicles, the needed materials are not put in place. They tell you they've given you a platform, they give you an ID. They think that's the gateway to survivor, and they technically encourage the journalists not to be sincere. And I think the media owners have to be held responsible for the wrongs in the media industry.
Yes, there is a lot of things going on in the media world, and I used to tell people, I said, apart from what you see on TV and here on radio and you see on the papers, some people just feel it's all about the flashy lifestyle, it's all about looking good and coming on set to look fantastic, but there's a whole lot of things going on that you have to put in place psychologically, financially, and otherwise. Now the thing is, to a large extent, I would not sit here because I am a broadcaster and say, oh, everything is so fantastic. And whoever is calling for a state of emergency in the media industry, well, the person might not be too wrong. The only difference between the media world and the other sector is the fact that in the media world, the people inside have so far been able to hide it. Do you understand?
The show must go on regardless of what.
Exactly. I know certain media houses that have not paid their workers' salary for. They don't pay for months, 6, 7, 8 months, 1 year. They haven't paid. And when they want to pay, they pay. They can just
in piecemeal.
Yes, I remember my friend was in one and they owed them salary for like 1 year, and when it was time for them to pay, they paid them like 6 months.
I actually experienced that where I was coming from. They owed who owed you from 2016 to 2017, and we called it Black Christmas that year because December nothing came in and it was just terrible.
And sometimes these owners don't really think, how does this person survive? Now the work must go on. I remember there was a time at work one of those days, not in Abuja actually, and so what happened was there was a heavy downpour, and the whole road was flooded. I couldn't move, and I had a morning show to do then. And I remember because of that I was late. And when I got to the office, and then my boss was like, the time for the morning show is also supposed to be so time, and this is when you're coming. And I told him, I said, sir, with all due respect, there was heavy downpour, as you can see. It went round. It wasn't stingy, it went on everyone. And so he was like, the job has to be done. It's professional. You don't stay. And I was like, yes, I know what is meant to be done.
Probably should have gone into the rain and get into the studio all soaked up.
You know what I told him that made him stay? I told him, I said, if I entered the rain and perhaps the vehicle had got into an accident or into the gutter because you can't even see the road, the only thing that would have been done is, oh, sorry.
1 minute silence.
1 minute silence, God forbid. Do you understand? And the office will continue.
Yeah, the job.
There will be somebody to replace me immediately because the morning show would continue. Just has to continue.
The day has to break.
I would not. And actually, I said I would not. And when I used the word I would, and that was what made him to stay quiet. I would not risk my life for anything in the world because life is one. And that was when he got to understand that. Oh. Reality of things, we have to be, You
have to be alive to tell the story.
To do the job, you have to be alive to be here. You have to be alive, So when you see people get some, like those who go for reporter, they get to collect brown envelope. They don't do it because they just love to do it. They do it because
Well, the color of the envelope has changed. It's not white.
It's not white. Okay, so now it's no longer brown envelope.
No,
now
it's
because
white. It's white because it's transparent and it's mutual, so it's white.
so it's white, and it is really. I think that the media world needs a lot of refining. You know, one of my very big broadcaster friend, I really respect her so much. She celebrated 15 years. You know, yesterday made her 15 years in a particular media house.
Awesome.
And
Very rare to
and I
find.
told her, Ma, I envy you. Whatever will make you be in one place for 15 good
The
years,
media house was doing good.
then that means you are happy there. Do you understand?
All right, we're happy there.
And I was like, you're really happy there. And so I think that the people in the media world, they need to be given a whole lot of credit, because I tell people, this is not just about being a doctor or a lawyer, being a broadcaster, being a media person
I think it's the finest job you can find.
in the world.
Yeah.
In
Most
the world.
addictive.
Exactly.
All right, so let's go on with our content. We still have the divisions in the labor arena between the UCL, TUC, and NLC over the standard minimum, which we talked about that already.
Earlier.
All right, so it's time for us to give you the biggest news on the planet.
Now, the Vatican Treasurer, Cardinal George L. will stand trial on historical sexual assault charges, a court has ruled. Now, Cardinal Pell formally pleaded not guilty to the charges on Tuesday. He has consistently denied any wrongdoing. An Australian magistrate ruled on Tuesday that there was enough evidence for the case to proceed to a trial on some charges, but not on others. Cardinal Pell, 76, is Australia's most senior Catholic and one of the most powerful officials in the Vatican. He was given a large police guard as he entered the Melbourne Magistrate Court in front of dozens of media representatives and members of the public.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has said the top secret document Israel claims to have obtained on Iran's nuclear program shows Tehran has lied. Pompeo said the information indicates that a nuclear deal signed between Iran and 6 world powers in 2015 was not built on good faith. President Trump has long signaled his desire to abandon the deal and is due to make a decision in the coming weeks. Iran has described the document as a rehash of old allegations. On Monday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu revealed that he was aware thousands of secret nuclear files that proved that Iran had once covertly pursued nuclear weapons. Tehran has maintained that it has only been pursuing nuclear energy. Who is lying?
Well, we'll definitely get to find out. Now, the Trump administration has extended negotiations on steel and aluminum tariffs for 30 days in Canada, now the EU and Mexico. It has also reached an agreement in principle with Argentina, Brazil, and Australia. In March, U.S. President Donald Trump imposed worldwide tariffs of 25% on U.S. import of steel and iron aluminum. Right. Some countries were then exempted temporarily from those tariffs, including Canada, the EU, and Mexico. Now, China was not included in the exemptions and later retaliated with its own duties on some U.S. imports.
All right, still talking U.S. President Donald Trump reported disparaging of African countries did not come up in his talks with Nigeria's president, the two leaders have said. Muhammad Buhari sidetracked his reporter's question about Trump's alleged use of the term shitholes to describe certain developing nations. In their White House news conference, Trump added, "We didn't discuss it. The Nigerian was the first sub-Saharan African leader to be invited for talks with Trump administration." Buhari was asked during Monday's joint press conference about a report in January that Trump had complained about immigrants coming to the U.S. from shithole countries, specifically referring to Haiti, El Salvador, and some African nations.
All right, let's move on to Zimbabwe, but the Zimbabwe's government will charge as much as $50,000 for licenses to grow cannabis. journalists have tweeted. The government announced this weekend that the individuals and businesses will be able to apply for license to cultivate cannabis for medicinal or scientific use. Lesotho issued Africa's first license for medical cannabis production last year, making Zimbabwe the second African country to legalize growing cannabis. Now, exiled former spin doctor for Robert Mugabe, Jonathan Moyo, has said the Zimbabwean decision was made before Mugabe was forced to resign.
All right.
I think it's a good news.
It's interesting.
It's a good news.
Let's tell you that former Bolivian leader and dictator Luis Misa has died at the age of 88.
And Poland to oppose EU's proposals to cut funding to countries where rule of law is deemed under threat.
And President Trump hosted Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari at the White House for the first time since becoming U.S. 45th president.
Okay, let's go to...
Let's get to know Nigeria.
No, Nigeria. Multiple taxation is a common reality faced by many Nigerians operating in the informal sector.
Now, you know, poverty and inequality in Nigeria have strong special dimensions. Poverty is considerably higher in rural than urban areas.
61.8% of the urban population lived below the national poverty line in 2009 and 2010, compared to 73.2% of the rural population.
Between 1960 to 2005, about $20 trillion was stolen from the treasury by public office holders in Nigeria.
Most instructive was the 32.8 billion naira police pension fund theft trial, where John Yakubu Yusufu, who admitted to fraud, walked out of the court free after paying a paltry 750,000 naira in fine.
That case should be reopened.
Yes, it should be.
All right, let's go to Know Africa. Knowing Africa, let's begin by telling Amnesty International report of 2016 recorded commutations of death sentences in 34 countries, with African countries like Mali, Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Ghana, Zambia, Liberia, Zimbabwe, Swaziland, and Nigeria.
In 2015, at least 1,998 people were sentenced to death in 61 countries. However, the number of death sentences recorded in 2015 was significantly lower than previous years.
Let's tell you that in Africa, in 2015, the death sentences recorded as follows: Nigeria, 171 people; in Egypt, we have 538; DR Congo, 28; Cameroon, 19; Libya, 10; Chad, 10; got Morocco with 8 people; Kenya with 30 people; and in Ghana, just 18 people; in Southern Sudan, it was 17; while in Sudan, it was 18; far north in Tunisia, we had 11 people; and in Sierra Leone, we had 13 people; while in West Africa and Mali, we had 10 persons.
Did you say Nigeria and this other country?
Egypt had the highest. Yeah.
number?
All right, let's give you world statistics and focus. Take us there.
Today, only 27% of the world's population is covered by a comprehensive social protection system. Social protection is a more comprehensive concept than social security, social assistance, or social safety net.
Now you know. All right, let's go to the test. Let's test how smart we can be, especially on Workers' Day. Hope you're not lazy.
Yeah, well, I'm not a lazy Nigerian.
All right, let's tell you that in 2011, Issa Yuguda, governor of Bauchi, appointed dash number of political aides, excluding domestic staff. All right, it's under 1,000.
Under 1,000.
Yeah, excluding. You told me about it yesterday.
While we were doing what? Having lunch or what? 924.
Precisely, 924 political aides were appointed by the governor of Bauchi State in 2011. And let's take you to Imo State.
Governor, yes, that's your question. Governor of Imo State, Rochester Okorocha, appointed dash special assistants.
Right, the man was a happy commissioner, right?
Yeah.
He appointed 100, number of 100 persons. This guy's something wrong. 100 persons.
Well, it's employment. Are we not looking for employment opportunities?
That's true.
Of course.
All right, let's also tell you that the federal lawmaker constitutes dash percentage of Nigeria's population, yet they have a sizable amount of state funds expended in their upkeep. Can you imagine how many still the chunk of our national funds? We have
0.002.
Okay, we've got 0.0002%
Oh, okay.
in terms of population, and that this is. The more you look, the less you understand. All right, take us to the last
Okay.
one.
Each Nigerian senator receives dash million annually, when multiplied by 109 senators. The grand total is.
All right, we've always wondered how much our senators receive, but let's reveal it to you today. They receive on a monthly basis, annual, right? 19.66 million naira. 19.66 million naira. Take that to the bank. That's how much they receive annually. And if you buy 109 senators, you're getting a whopping 2.14 billion naira expended on this 0.002% of the population of Nigeria, which is about 198 billion people.
Now,
Very sad.
Some people might actually want to say, no, that's not true. You know, some time ago, some weeks back, the Minister of Transport, in an event, he said that what the senators earn is actually 300,000 naira.
That's very untrue, Mr. Mickey. Very, very untrue. All right, let's go to this segment. It's called Nation Spar, where we pick a particular nation and profile it on the go.
And we have Costa Rica.
It sounds like where you're from.
Oh my God. Now, Costa Rica literally means rich coast. Officially, the Republic of Costa Rica is a country in Central America, bordered by Nicaragua to the north, Panama to the southeast, the Pacific Ocean to the west, the Caribbean Sea to the east, and Ecuador to the south of Cocos Island.
Okay, here it has a population of around 4.5 million, of whom nearly a quarter live in the metropolitan area of the capital and the largest city of San Jose.
All right, so we have Costa Rica was sparsely inhabited by indigenous people before coming under Spanish rule in the 16th century. Since then, Costa Rica has remained among the most stable, prosperous, and progressive nations in Latin America.
The country has consistently performed favorably in the Human Development Index, HDI, placing 69th in the world as of 2015, among the highest of any Latin American nation.
It has also been cited by the United Nations Development Program as having attained much higher human development than other countries at the same income levels, with a better record on human development and inequality than the median of the region.
All right, let's also tell that Costa Rica has been ranked 42nd in the world and the 3rd in the Americas in the 2016 Environmental Performance Index, was twice ranked the best performing country in the New Economics Foundation, and also the Happy Planet Index, which measures environmental sustainability and was identified by the NEF as the greenest country in the world in 2009. Take that to the bank, it's real.
Well, you should also know that Costa Rica officially plans to become a carbon neutral country by 2021. In 2012, it became the first country in the Americas to ban recreational.
And let's wrap it up by telling you that the president of Costa Rica is Luis Guillermo Solis.